Hi, I'm Luciane Piccolo at NYU. Our study is entitled Reading Aloud, Self-Regulation, and Early Language and Cognitive Development in Brazil. Poverty-related disparities in child language and cognition may be partially explained by reduced cognitive stimulation and interactive reading at home and reduced child self-regulation. Support of positive parenting is a key strategy to prevent disparities. In high-income countries, parenting interventions promoting reading aloud have shown positive impacts on parent-child interactions, child self-regulation, language, and cognition. In low and middle-income countries, one example of a parenting intervention is a reading aloud program called Universidade do Bebê, or UBB, which was developed by researchers in Brazil and the US with strategies adapted from Reach Out and Read and the Video Interaction Project. UBB includes monthly parent workshops and a book lending library. We have previously shown positive impacts of UBB on parenting and child language, cognitive, and socio-emotional outcomes, even for parents with low literacy. However, there's been limited study of impacts of parent-child reading aloud programs on self-regulation and pathways of impact in low and middle-income countries. In this study, we sought to examine effects of UBB on child self-regulation and also to explore whether effects of UBB on child language and cognition are mediated by child self-regulation and whether effects of UBB can be explained through a pathway of impact, including cognitive stimulation or parent-child interactive reading and self-regulation together. We performed a cluster RCT of UBB, which was implemented in educational child care centers in Boa Vista, a city in Brazil with a very high poverty rate. 22 child care centers in 12 clusters were randomized to the intervention or control groups. Assessments were conducted at the baseline and 9 months later. Self-regulation was measured by the PSRA, a scale based on examiner's observation during the child direct assessments. We also measured child vocabulary, IQ, working memory, and short-term phonological memory, as well as cognitive stimulation and interactive reading. For AIM 1, we used multi-level models, and for AIMs 2 and 3, we used mediation models. All analyses were adjusted for clusters and covariates shown in this table. Overall, this is a very low-income sample. There were no significant differences between control and intervention groups. The UBB group showed higher self-regulation compared to controls with effect size coherence D 0.25. Similar results were observed for attention and impulse control subscales. Further, self-regulation mediated effects of UBB previously demonstrated for child language and cognition. Also, UBB impacts on child language and cognition through self-regulation were further mediated by improvements in cognitive stimulation and interactive reading. In summary, first, UBB showed positive impacts on child self-regulation. Second, child self-regulation mediated already demonstrated effects of UBB on language and cognition. And third, UBB impacts on parenting outcomes, including cognitive stimulation and interactive reading, further mediated these relationships. Limitations include potential lack of generalization for other regions in Brazil or other low and middle income countries, and concurrent measurement of primary study variables. Longitudinal studies will be needed to determine causal inference. Our studies indicated that child self-regulation is an important consideration in design of preventive interventions, and similar to research in high-income countries, our findings support the importance of promoting parent-child reading in a low and middle-income country. I would like to thank the Instituto Alfabeto for supporting this work, and thank you.